Fiona Oakes, a vegan athlete, will be here in a moment. We are in the auditorium in the Cork City Hall and we are waiting for her.
My name is Fiona Oakes and this talk is called Running for Good. Keegan told me it was because he thought I got a unique perspective and handle on veganism. I was completely shocked. It came totally out of the bolt, out of the blue, because I never think of what I do as being very special at all. But apparently it is, or it was of interest to people. So my story is that I went vegan when I was 6 years old, after going vegetarian when I was 3 years old, and that was totally self-inspired. None of my family were vegetarian, vegan, or even particularly interested in animals at the time. I literally did not want to harm animals. That is the reason I adopted this lifestyle. At 3, I understood that meat and fish were animals. I understood that. I didn't realise the cruelty involved in the dairy industry and with eggs until I literally quizzed my mother about it. And to be completely frank, I don't think she understood either. When it was explained to me that the cows didn't choose to give us their milk, they needed it for their babies, but we took it, I said, well, I don't want to be involved in that either. So from that point, I was a vegan, and I have been so ever since, and that's well over 40 years. So my veganism is a constant learning curve. I always say to people, I'm not perfect, I don't pretend to be perfect. I know I make mistakes, but the one very important thing is that I always try to learn from those mistakes. I want to gather knowledge, I want to grow as a person and grow as a vegan, and hope that I can grow the ethical standpoint of veganism to a wider audience. Another difficulty was that I had a lot of surgeries. I was very athletic when I was a junior, when I was in my teens. I had a lot of surgeries and I was in and out of hospital. I've actually got a disability that I've got no kneecap on the right side. When I was going in and out of hospital, adopting this lifestyle, people accused my mum of all sorts of child abuse, that I wouldn't grow, I wouldn't be healthy. And she didn't really have any facts or proof or any reference point to actually state otherwise, other than a belief that it was actually more cruel to feed me lies than it was to feed me plant proteins. So we went along with that, and as I say, I continued with my veganism. When I developed into early adulthood, I always wanted to do more. So it was always my main ambition in life to have an animal sanctuary, to be able to help animals directly. And I always thought this would be a complete dream. I never thought this would become a reality. So I rescued animals in a very small way. I worked in London and I rescued where I could. So small animals lived at my partner's house, and the larger animals I kept at livery yards, the horses and at farms. For sure, we'd like to coach you, we'd like to help you, but there's one slight problem. I know, what's that? It's your diet. We're not going to invest this much time in somebody who's just going to go and throw it all away because you refuse to waver from this idea that you can do well on plant-based proteins. You can't. You need meat and dairy inside you to perform. So if you don't compromise, you don't get a coach, which sounds completely unrealistic to people in the 21st century in 2017, but I can actually tell you an instance that happened on Thursday. A young runner, very talented runner in America, told me exactly the same thing. I was out in America trying to do something else that I'll explain later, and she said she just got a new coach. She was very excited. She was hoping to go for Olympic junior trials, and he refuses to coach her unless she invests herself in meat and dairy, and she won't do it. So therefore he said, I'm sorry, I'm not helping you. So even today the barriers are there, especially in sport, that you really need to be broken down. And this bias towards running with a few really top African runners, and the cameras are on me, and it's a perfect opportunity to have the cameras on the word vegan. It's like running through the streets of London with closed roads with a billboard saying it's a positive thing for veganism. So that's why we started the Vegan Runners back in 2004, Peter Simpson and I, and that's actually grown and grown and grown to the benefit and positivity of veganism. That's one of my actually proudest achievements. This is a week-long stage race in the Sahara Desert, and for a week you run basically a marathon a day. One day you run about 100k. You carry a backpack, and I've actually brought the backpack for you so you can get an idea. This little backpack, and in it you have all your supplies for the whole week, apart from water, which they give you on a limited supply. And so you've got your sleeping bag in there, you've got your food, you've got your medical supplies, everything you need for the whole week is in this pack. So it is billed as the toughest foot race on the planet, and they don't mean losing that billing. It's very, very difficult and a totally cavalier thing to do. But there were so many people around the world wanted to see the first vegan woman get round this race, and thought I was the one to do it, and I'd be saying I would do it. That I thought, I've got to go, I can't let the animals down. At least if I go and I can't complete it, I've tried, rather than sitting at home and wondering, could I, would I, should I? So I went off out there. It was extraordinarily difficult because for this race you have to wear gaiters to stop sand getting in your shoes, and your feet swell up in the heat. It's very, very hot, and unfortunately mine was swollen before I actually went out there, so I won't go into details, but by day 4, which was the long stage, I could actually see the bones sticking out of my little toe. It was so, so bad, and I was carrying on, and all the time I was carrying on, I am not going to let this beat me, I'm not going to let the animals down. And people were writing to me, they can actually send email messages, support around the world, and people were saying, please keep going for the animals, this is going to be monumental if you can finish this race. So I literally couldn't let them down. So a friend said to me, well, you've done that hardest foot race, why don't you consider doing the polar marathons? And I kind of said, well, what are they? He said, well, the North Pole Marathon and the Antarctic Marathons. And I was saying, no way, you can't be a marathon at the North Pole. This is completely ridiculous. And I looked into it, and sure enough, there was something which was calling itself the North Pole Marathon. So I figured to myself, no, what it will be is, it'll be a little 10k somewhere up in northern Norway. There'll be some snow, it'll be very cold, and they'll just give you a medal saying marathon, because they wouldn't be crazy enough to expect you to run a marathon actually on ice, would they? I mean, that's just stupid. But sure enough, there was a North Pole Marathon, it was run on ice, and I then thought, no, this is probably the one to do. This is a really, really good one to get publicity for veganism. I've run really fast races, I've run this, I could run on the ice. It's very, very difficult to run on. It's soft snow and fractured ice underneath. You can hear the ocean, you can actually put your hand in the ocean in some places. It's a pretty scary, surreal thing to do. And on reflection, because another event happened there, I would say that it wouldn't be the thing I would have chosen to do necessarily. I feel that I violated a very fragile ecosystem that probably I didn't have the right to do. I was only doing it though. I didn't realise that in America you actually need a prescription to offer soy milk to children in schools. It's so biased towards the meat and dairy industry. It's ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous. And they wanted a sports person, somebody who has actually achieved a lot on this plant-based diet. I've been plant-based for such a long time, to go out there and try and persuade a panel, a jury, if you like, to actually roll out this option. And I'd actually said to the people, if no one else will volunteer, if some of the athletes who are based in California won't come, jokingly, kind of half-heartedly, I said, I'll come myself. And when I returned from Marathon de Sable this year, they wrote to me and said, can you please come, because we're just getting nowhere and we desperately need someone to fight for us. So I got on a plane, I went to Los Angeles on Monday, where I know we only had 36 hours on the ground, and I had to fly back on Thursday, but I'm quite used to that short stay, because I've been all around the world twice. I've been to 7 continents twice, but I've got to go now because the next person's on and I'm going to get turned off. So thank you very much for listening.
Here row 50, and here the chance to meet Fiona. Hi. I was delighted about your interview, your story. Yes. It was amazing. Now, I will just One question. In your backpack, when you did your races and in Sahara, one food? Tell me, dates?
Dates,
What?
marzipan and dates.
Marzipan and dates.
Dates.
And to the North Pole?
I didn't have any food at the North Pole. I ran the whole thing without anything. I don't, when I'm just doing what I would call a shorter race, 4 hours, I wouldn't take anything.
So just
In a road marathon, I only take anything but water.
I'm vegan,
Yeah.
and sometimes I run, not like you, of course. But sometimes I feel down. What food? What your body asks?
Dates. If I'm in a desert race, dates or nuts perhaps.
And if you're in England?
Never have anything. I truly never have anything when I'm out running. I don't even take water if I'm running less than 20 miles. I can't use gels because I wouldn't touch my stomach. In fact, when I'm in the tent in the Marathon de Sable, you're sharing with 7 guys you don't know. And I started at the beginning, I said, look guys, there's 2 gels here. If I come back to this tent and there's only 1 gel, or dare say no gels, you want to be clearing the area because it means that I've had to go to desperate measures and my stomach is likely to be telling you. I can't do anything. I can only do what I do normally at home, and that's very minimal. I mean, the one thing that I did tell a girl is if you feel hungry when you're running and if you want something that I would use in the Marathon de Sable, which is treat, and that's always conscious about cost, look for something called Ma Baker flapjack bars. They're filling,
filling.
That, and they don't
Sugar.
crumble, and they are easy to access, and they are cheap, and they are nutritious, and they travel well in the heat. So that's the kind of thing. But I have very, very little. I have so very, very little because all our money is for the animals. I have nothing for myself.
Fiona, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and in some stage I was also moved. Enjoy, Amos. What do you think about this festival, this vegan festival?
Good, even though I'm not vegan.
Even though you're not vegan, you can say, did you try good food?
Yeah.